The wind howled over the battlefield, kicking up red dust that danced around broken steel and fallen ships. Eli's boots sank into the soft alien soil as he stepped over a melted drone. He had been sent with a small Earth squad to secure a mining outpost. What they found instead was a trap dot. No one had mentioned the Xelari were still active here. 7 feet tall on average, brutal and fast. But the thing that really shocked Eli wasn't their size, it was their leader. A towering figure, at least 15 feet tall, armored in golden plates that shimmered like fire under the twin suns. And she wasn't just any soldier. She was the last undefeated gladiator of the Xelari arenas. Eli had seen her the moment their transport crashed. She walked through flames like they were water, tearing through armored vehicles with her bare hands. Her long white hair fell over green, radiant skin, and her golden eyes locked onto him like a predator choosing its prey. But instead of crushing him, she stopped, watched, and smiled. His squad tried to fight. They were brave, but not fast enough. Not strong enough. One by one, they fell, and Eli, he ran. Not far, just enough to duck behind a smoking hull and catch his breath. That's when she found him again. Her heavy boots crushed the ground as she approached, but instead of finishing him, she knelt. "You fight with your heart, little human," she said. Her voice was deep, powerful, but not cruel. "I mark you as mine." Eli didn't understand at first. Was it a threat? A joke? Then her clawed finger tapped the center of his chest plate. A burning symbol appeared, a glowing mark in the shape of the Xelari war sigil. "You're mine now," she said calmly. "Not as a slave, not as an enemy. You fought with fire. And fire answers fire." She stood again, towering over him, and turned toward the battlefield. Xelari soldiers stopped fighting. Some even bowed. The war had ended not because the humans won, but because their champion had made a choice. Back at the base, Earth Command was furious. Ayla returned alone, marked with the enemy symbol and stories no one wanted to believe. But the mark wouldn't go away. No matter how many scans they ran, no matter how hard they tried to scrub it off. It stayed there, pulsing, glowing whenever he got angry or scared. The world saw him as a traitor, a coward. They didn't know what the mark meant, but Eli did, because days later, she came for him again. The same giant warrior, this time landing in a small Xelari cruiser, right at the edge of Earth-controlled space. No weapons drawn, just her standing, tall as ever, telling everyone the same thing. "This human belongs to me. He carries my fire. He will fight beside me, or challenge me." Challenge her? He could barely reach her waist. But something deep in Eli, maybe the fire she saw in him, wouldn't let him back down. That night, he stood alone under the stars, looking at his hands. The mark on his chest glowed faintly, reacting to his heartbeat. He wasn't a soldier anymore. Not by Earth's rules, but something inside him had changed. The question now was, could he keep up with a warrior who destroyed tanks with her fists? Or would he be crushed by the very power that had chosen him? Eli didn't sleep that night. He stared at the ceiling of his bunk while the mark on his chest pulsed softly like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. His comms had been silent since the alien woman the Gladiator left. Earth Command had no words for this situation. No orders, no plan. He wasn't sure if he was a prisoner or a guest up by morning. The Xelari cruiser hovered silently outside the base gates. She was waiting. Her name was Yavara. That much he had learned from intercepted transmissions. A living legend among her people. She had never lost a battle in the arena. And now she had chosen him. Chosen him for what? Eli stood at the edge of the landing zone, staring up at her ship. It wasn't as large as human warships, but it radiated power. Sharp edges, glowing vents, and elegant alien writing all over its hull. Then the ramp lowered. And there she was again. Yavara stood tall, her golden armor catching the sunlight. Her face was calm but firm, eyes fixed on Eli as if she already knew he would come. Her hand reached out toward him, not demanding, but inviting. He took a deep breath, then walked forward. As he stepped onto the ramp, the soldiers behind him shouted warnings. Earth's defense team was confused, angry, and afraid. But Eli didn't stop. He felt the mark on his chest growing warm, guiding him. Inside, the ship was silent. Smooth black walls, glowing lines across the floor, and strange humming sounds that echoed softly. Yavara walked ahead, her steps heavy and proud. Eli kept close, but it was like chasing a walking mountain. She finally spoke. "You want to know why I marked you?" He nodded. "Yes, I don't understand what you want from me." She turned to him, towering high, then knelt again to meet his eyes. "I want your fire. I want your spirit. You have no claws. No armor, you are soft, but you ran toward a flame, not away." "That is rare," Eli frowned. "I didn't do anything special." "You did," she said. "When my soldiers surrounded you, you looked at me like an equal, even when your knees shook." He didn't know what to say to that. "You will train," she said. "Not as my pet, not as a servant, but as a partner. If you fall behind, I will not protect you. You must grow." "Grow?" he asked. "How do I grow to match someone like you?" Her lips curled slightly. Was that a smile? With pain, with sweat, with will. For the next week, the ship traveled through wild space, heading toward a massive training arena carved into an asteroid. Every day, Eli woke up sore, bleeding, and exhausted. Yavara trained him personally, no mercy, no shortcuts. She threw him into fights with machines that moved faster than bullets. She taught him how to dodge, how to read an opponent's breath, how to find balance in chaos. But she also watched him closely, not like a soldier watching a recruit, more like a lion studying a cub. She gave him strange drinks that burned his throat, but made his muscles ache less. She fixed his broken bones with alien nanotech. But she never fought for him. He had to rise alone. One day, after Eli collapsed from a brutal match, Yavara walked over and pulled him up with one hand. "You are slow," she said. "But you do not quit. That is why you survive." He laughed bitterly. "Surviving isn't the same as winning." She looked at him for a long moment. "To my people, surviving when all odds say you should die is the greatest victory." Eli stared at her, the way she spoke, the way she moved. She wasn't just a killer. She was something deeper, proud, noble, lonely. "You've never chosen anyone before, have you?" he asked. "No," she said softly. "No one was worthy." "And you think I am? You will be." That night, he sat alone in the training room, looking at his reflection in the dark window. His arms were bruised, his knuckles cracked, but his eyes, they were different now, harder, focused. The mark on his chest glowed faintly, like a burning promise. He wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. He was fighting to stand beside her. 3 weeks had passed since Eli began training under Yavara's command. The pain in his body had become familiar, almost like an old friend. He no longer screamed when he fell, no longer hesitated when charged by a towering machine. He still lost most fights, but he always stood back up. The Xelari arena on the asteroid was massive. Tall metallic walls, shifting platforms, hidden traps, and holographic beasts that attacked without warning. Yavara pushed him into the chaos every day. She watched from above, arms crossed, golden armor shining under harsh lights. Sometimes she barked orders. Other times she said nothing. But her eyes were always locked on him, like a forge master watching raw iron slowly become a weapon. One morning, Eli limped into the central chamber, holding his side where a training drone had slammed into him. Yavara stood beside the arena wall, silent. "You gonna say I'm still too slow?" he muttered, wiping sweat from his face. She turned to him. "No." He blinked, surprised. You are still weak, she said. But no longer soft. Eli gave a short laugh. Thanks, I think. She stepped forward, looking down at him. Today, you will fight me. What? You want to keep up with me? This is the only way to know if you can. He froze. You'll kill me. I will not. Unless you give me no reason to stop. Eli's mouth went dry. She wasn't joking. Her face was calm, but her body shifted ready for battle. She removed the outer layer of her armor, revealing lean muscle and flexible gold plating underneath. Her green skin shimmered with faint biolight. She looked like a war goddess carved from emerald and flame. I don't know if I can, he said honestly. She lowered her head slightly, her voice softer now. That fear is good. He stepped into the arena, the floor hummed. Lights changed from white to red. Metal plates shifted, creating an open space with no obstacles. Just two fighters. One human. One alien giant. She moved first. A blur of gold and green. Eli barely dodged her punch. It struck the floor beside him, leaving a crater. He rolled to the side, trying to stay light on his feet. Faster. She shouted. He ran toward her, aiming for her legs. She kicked him not hard, but enough to send him flying. He slammed into the wall, groaning, but stood back up. Again. She barked. He charged. This time she let him get close. He ducked under her sweeping arm, struck her side with both fists, then rolled away. It felt like punching a steel statue. But she smiled, better. The fight continued for minutes that felt like hours. Eli's body screamed with pain. Blood dripped from his lip. But he refused to quit. Every time he fell, he stood. Every time she hit, he learned. At last, she knocked him flat on his back, with a spinning strike that could have killed him if she hadn't pulled it. He lay there gasping, the world spinning. Yavara stood over him, breathing calmly. You are not ready, she said. But you will be. You have heart. Eli coughed and nodded. That's something, I guess. She extended her hand. He hesitated, then took it. Her grip was strong but careful. She helped him to his feet like lifting a child. Later that night, they sat near the observation window, overlooking the stars. No words passed for a while. Just silence and the glow of distant suns. Then she spoke. My kind believes strength is all that matters. That emotions weaken us. Eli looked at her. You don't believe that? I used to. And now? She turned to him, eyes golden and quiet. Now I see you, small, fragile, yet unbroken. He smiled. You're not so cold yourself. She chuckled, a rare soft sound. Careful. You grow bold. Maybe I'm just getting used to being thrown into walls by a giant. She laughed louder now. In that moment, something shifted between them. Not just warrior and trainee. Not gladiator and mark human, but something closer. He didn't say it out loud, but a thought kept returning to him. He didn't just want to survive. He wanted to earn his place beside her. Not because she marked him, but because he chose it too. Asterisk. The days passed, and Eli's body grew tougher, leaner, faster. The pain hadn't stopped, but now he welcomed it. It meant he was changing, becoming something more. He no longer flinched when Yavara attacked. He started to dodge better, strike harder, and land on his feet. One evening, while training under low gravity, Eli spun in midair and landed a strike on Yavara's shoulder. She didn't move much, but her eyes narrowed with interest. That hit would have broken bone, she said. Eli panted, arms shaking. Good, because that was everything I had. Yavara gave a sharp nod. You are learning. She circled him, slow and thoughtful. But your mind is still caught in the old ways. You fight for survival. I need you to fight with purpose. Eli looked at her. What purpose? Her golden eyes locked with his. Me, he froze. What do you mean? She stepped closer, the glow of her armor softly illuminating her skin. You carry my mark. Not just as a fighter, but as one bound by honor. When I chose you, I made a vow to the Xelari code. You are not only my partner now, you are my equal. He stared up at her, chest rising and falling. Equal? I can barely reach your ribs. That doesn't matter. The heart does not measure. Height. There was something raw in her voice, something real. Ailey couldn't speak for a moment. But they'll never accept me, he whispered. Your people, mine, I'm just one man. You are not just anything, she said. You are the one I chose before all others. Later that night, Yavara took him into the Hall of Titans, an ancient part of the arena complex carved from crystal and stone. Statues of Xelari warriors, champions of the past, lined the walls. They towered over Eli, even taller than Yavara. She pointed to the last empty pedestal. I will place your statue here one day, she said. Eli gave a nervous laugh. I hope it has a better jawline than me. She didn't smile this time. I am serious. He stepped beside her and looked up at the space. You really think I'll make it that far? I do. He turned to her. Why me, Yavara? What makes me different? She was quiet for a long moment. Then she answered, because when you are knocked down, you don't wait for help. You stand, even with shaking knees you rise. He swallowed hard. I once rose like that, she continued. Before I became feared, before I became alone. Eli finally understood. She didn't just see him as a warrior in training. She saw him as something more. A reflection of what she once was. And maybe someone she hoped to walk beside, not above. The next morning, the High Council of the Xelari sent a message. They had watched the training, observed Eli's growth, but they did not approve. A human cannot be marked by the champion of Xelari, the message said. It breaks tradition. It insults the blood of the arena. Yavara crushed the message disc in her hand. They will challenge us, she said. They will send a rival. Eli stood still. To kill me? To test you, and me. If you lose, I lose my place. My title, my right to walk as a champion. He felt his heart sink. And if I win? They will have no choice but to accept. The bond. Eli clenched his fists. He had never wanted politics, never wanted a throne or a title. But now he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for her. And she was worth fighting for. That night, before sleep took him, Yavara came to his chamber. She stood in the doorway silently, then softly she spoke. Do not fight to impress them. Fight to show them what I already see. Eli nodded. I won't let them take this from you. She stepped closer, knelt, and rested her forehead lightly against his. The gesture was a sign of mutual respect. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew he would give everything, because for the first time in his life, someone powerful had believed in him, not as a soldier, not as a tool, but as a person, not as her chosen one. The arena was packed, not with spectators, but with warriors, judges, and the elders of the Xelari race. They came not to watch a performance, but to decide a fate. Eli stood in the center, breathing deeply. The stone floor under his boots was cold. His body was covered in flexible battle armor Yavara had made just for him. It wasn't flashy like hers. It was simple, tight, and lightweight, designed for someone who needed speed more than strength. Across the arena stood the challenger. His name was Vigrox, a massive alien with gray-scaled skin and 4 arms, each thick like a tree trunk. He was nearly as tall as Yavara and had won over 30 arena duels without mercy. He didn't speak much, but when he saw Eli, he laughed. This is the one who carries her mark? He said in a low, rumbling voice. You insult us all. Eli didn't reply. His heartbeat was loud in his ears, but his hands were steady. Yavara stood at the edge of the arena, silent, her face unreadable. But Eli felt her presence like a mountain behind him. He knew she believed in him, but she would not interfere. If he lost, she would lose everything too. The judge raised his clawed hand and shouted, "Begin." Vigrox charged forward with shocking speed. Eli rolled aside just in time, barely avoiding a massive fist. The ground cracked where it landed. He jumped back and dodged again. Vigrox kept swinging, arms moving in wide arcs. It felt like being attacked by a moving wall. Eli didn't fight back yet. He just dodged, watching, studying. Then he saw it, every time Vigrox swung with his upper right arm, his lower left was exposed. A small opening, but it was enough. Eli ducked low and dashed in. He struck the joint with all his strength. It wasn't enough to break it, but it made the beast stumble. The crowd murmured. Vigrox snarled and grabbed a large metal staff from the ground. He swung it toward Eli like a hammer. Eli leapt, the staff passing just under his legs. He landed, slid forward, and slammed his foot into Vigrox's ankle. The giant stumbled again. This time, Vigrox roared and swung with both upper arms. Eli was hit hard across the chest and flew backward. He hit the floor and rolled, gasping. His armor held but barely. He could feel his ribs scream in pain. Still, he rose. The crowd watched in silence. Vigrox walked toward him, grinning. "You don't know when to stay down." Eli wiped blood from his mouth. "Neither does she." Then he ran again. Faster this time. He zigzagged, feinting left, then dashing right. He kicked off the wall and flipped over Vigrox's head. As he flew, he stabbed a short blade into the gap in Vigrox's shoulder plate. The alien roared in pain. Eli landed, rolled, and turned to face him. Vigrox's arm hung loose now. Eli had taken one limb out of the fight, but he was exhausted. His vision blurred. His breathing was shallow. His body screamed at him to stop. And then he looked toward the edge. Yavara stood still, golden eyes locked on him. Her expression had not changed. But when their eyes met, she gave the smallest nod. A silent message. "You are enough." That gave him strength. Vigrox came. Again slower now. Angry, careless. Eli used that. He ran up a nearby wall, flipped, and kicked the injured arm again. The giant swung, but missed. Eli ducked, rolled, and stabbed the back of Vigrox's knee. The alien dropped. Eli didn't stop. He climbed up Vigrox's broad back, jumped onto his shoulders, and pulled the second blade from his belt. With all his strength, he drove the blade into the base of Vigrox's neck, just between the armor plates. The giant fell forward, crashing into the arena floor. Silence followed. Eli stood on his back, panting, arms shaking. The judge walked forward. "Enough," he declared. "The challenge is answered." Eli stepped down, his legs barely holding him. The warriors who once laughed now bowed their heads. Yavara entered the arena. She walked straight to Eli, towering over him, but her steps were slow. Gentle. She reached out and placed her large hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said softly. "No," he said, "we did." Around them, the arena shifted. Eli wasn't just the marked one now. He was her match. The battle was over. But the real change had just begun. Eli sat inside the chamber of rest, a quiet place deep within the arena complex. His armor lay in pieces beside him. Bruised, bandaged, and barely able to walk, he stared at the glowing mark on his chest. It pulsed calmly now, as if it had witnessed enough war. The door hissed open. Yavara entered, her armor still on but her helmet off. Her long white hair hung behind her shoulders, and her face, usually carved from stone, showed something new. Pride. She knelt before him, not out of weakness, but out of respect. "You've earned your place," she said. Eli smiled weakly. "Tell that to my ribs. You've earned more than that." He looked up. "They accepted it? They had no choice," she said. "You stood your ground, not just for yourself, but for me." That is rare, even among my own people. She stood again and turned to the crystal wall where stars sparkled outside. I have walked many battles alone, she said quietly. I was respected, feared, but never understood. Eli slowly stood with effort and walked beside her. He wasn't as tall, not even close. But in that moment, it didn't matter. You don't have to walk alone anymore, he said. Yavara looked at him, her golden eyes soft. No, I don't. The news spread quickly through the Xelari worlds. The champion had chosen a human not just as a marked warrior, but as her equal. There were protests, debates, even threats from those clinging to tradition. But the council could not erase what had happened in the arena. A human had fought a Xelari challenger and won in that. A bond had been formed. Eli remained by her side in the days that followed. He learned their language, their customs. Not because he was forced to, but because he wanted to understand her world. She taught him, guided him, but never ordered him again. In time, others began to see the truth. The giant gladiator and the small human weren't opposites. They were balance. One day, in the ceremonial hall of warriors, Yavara stood tall as ever, in her armor. Beside her, Eli stood in custom-made ceremonial clothing lighter than armor, but marked with silver patterns that showed his status. Before the gathered warriors, she spoke. I chose this human in fire. I marked him in battle. And he returned that mark with strength, with will, and with heart. She turned to Eli and extended her hand. Will you stand with me, through war and peace, through blood and light, not beneath me, but beside me? Eli looked up at her and nodded. I already am. He took her hand. The hall echoed with the sound of alien hands striking armored chests, a salute of respect. Later that night, the two stood alone again on the balcony of the arena tower. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky. The war. Drums were silent now. No more proving. No more doubt. Still think I'm too slow? Eli asked with a small smile. Yavara looked at him and said, You are fast enough to catch my heart. That is more than any warrior has ever done. Alile stepped closer, their height difference still ridiculous. But when she leaned down slightly, their foreheads touched. He closed his eyes and whispered, I thought I was chosen by accident, but now I see ... I chose you too. She said nothing, but her hand wrapped gently around his 15 feet tall, covered in gold armor, feared across 1,000 worlds. Yet in that moment, she wasn't just a gladiator. She was his . And together, they were unstoppable.